Latest crime statistics paint a grim picture. Let's take you live to Bheki Cele's briefing.
Today, on my left, we have the Provincial Commissioner of the Free State, Lieutenant General Mutsunyane, and next to her, we do have the the Provincial Commissioner of the Northwest, Lieutenant General Gwena. And to the left of the National Commissioner, we have the Gauteng Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Mawela. And next to him is the Provincial Commissioner of the Western Cape, Lieutenant General Patekile. And of course, we do have the Crime Registrar of the South African Police Service, that is Major General Sikukune, who's going to be taking us through the presentation of the crime stats today. But before that, allow me to please ask the Minister of Police, General Bheki Cele, to take us through his opening remarks. And then after that, we will have the full presentation of the crime stats. Thank you, General.
Thank you. National Commissioner of the South African Police, National Head of DPCI, Dr. Advocate Lieutenant General Rabia, Deputy National Commissioners that are here, Provincial Commissioners, Acting Secretary of Police, Senior SABC officers, heads of entities, and all head of departments. Good morning. Members of the media, the crime figures we are releasing today reflect crime reported to the South African Police Service in the first 3 months of 2022. These quarterly figures are used as a management tool to guide the operational plans of the SABC. The statistics are not just only to quantify crime or create debate in society, but the figures also serve as a call of action for government, business NGOs, civil society, and communities to come on board in the fight against crime. Ladies and gentlemen, the first 3 months of 2022 have unfortunately been marred by more murders, more sexual violence, and more assaults compared to the same time period in the previous year. All in all, these statistics don't give us a good picture. Yes, the statistics you will see today show increased levels in conduct crimes. These are cases where victims are targets of violence. The first 3 months of this year were violent, brutal, and unsafe for many South Africans. While we know and appreciate that the current socio-economic has directly impacted on the crime levels, police have also had their hands full following the safer festive season operations to ensure the festive season was safer and more secured. Festive season interventions included heightened police patrols and operations, especially in areas where crime was likely to occur. Festive season was safer, but not the same can be said about the first 3 months of 2022. The triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment increasingly encouraged opportunistic criminal behavior. However, police have made some gains and intercepted gritty criminal syndicates involved in extortion, kidnapping, and cash-in-transit heist and drug smuggling. Unfortunately, their collective actions have not yielded the expected results. January, February, and March 2022 was especially brutal for women and children in this country. Murder, attempted murder, and assault GBH of women all recorded double-digit increases. Murder and assault GBH of children under the age of 17 years also recorded sharp increase. However, the number of attempted murders cases of children had declined with 6.8%. Ladies and gentlemen, In the 3 months of reporting, a 22.2 increase in murder was recorded. 1,107 more people were killed in South Africa between January and March compared to the same period in 2021. Out of 6,083 people killed in the country, 898 of them were women and 306 were children under the age of 17. Alarmingly, the murder of children recorded 37.2% increase in the period of reporting. Arguments, vigilantism, revenge or retaliation and robberies remain the top 4 causative factors of this death. A total of 2,268 people were murdered in public places such as in open fields, streets, parking areas, and abandoned buildings. The second most likely place for murder to occur is at the home of the victim or of the perpetrator. 1,350 people were killed in that environment. Liquor outlets and public transport such as buses, taxis, or trains were the third and fourth most likely places to be killed in South Africa. Overall, crimes committed against a person, also known as conduct crime, increased by 15%. All sexual offenses recorded a 13.7% increase, with contact sexual offenses recorded the only decrease in this crime category. The first 3 months of this year, 10,818 people were raped in South Africa. Almost half of these cases, a staggering 4,653 rapes, took place at the home of the rape victim or the home of the rapist, mostly by a person known to the victim. Public parks, beaches, streets, open fields, parking areas, and abandoned buildings were the second most likely places to rapes to occur. Liquor was involved in 1,290 of the rapes. The Eastern Cape Lusikisiki Police Station, Inanda's station in KZN, and the Delft Police Station in Western Cape recorded the highest incidence of rape for quarter. All property-related crimes increased by 0.1%, and burglary at non-residential premises declined by 6.4%. Assault GBH have shown drastic increases, with over 6,575 more cases reported during the reporting period. 42,992 cases of assault GBH and 45,746 cases of common assault were opened with the police in the 3 months of reporting. Out of 42,992 cases of assault GBH, 1,937 were children under 17 years. Arguments, road rage intervention in fight and robberies were some of the leading causes of the assault GBH. Kidnapping. 3,306 kidnapping cases were opened with the police. This crime trend has shown a sharp increase, with over 1,700 more cases reported to the police compared to the same comparative period. Most of the kidnapping cases were hijacking, robbery, and rape related. The top 3 police stations with the highest report kidnapping cases were Kempton Park, Herenberg Station in Gauteng Province, and Delmas Province Station in Mpumalanga. The Gauteng Province accounts for the bulk of the kidnapping cases, recording over thousands more cases in the period of reporting. Ladies and gentlemen, 2022 started on a low safety note, but the question is, what went wrong? I have asked the management of the South African Police Service and the provincial commissioners of all 9 provinces the exact same question. Honestly, no answer justified these dismal figures, but we all agreed that all provinces, district clusters, and stations need to do things differently if indeed we want to see desired outcomes. The difference we speak of starts with minor to major changes. This includes improved working conditions of officers, ensure the availability of the required tools of the trade to respond to crime, and rooting out officers who choose to intentionally fail the community they are meant to serve. One thing is for sure, police alone cannot win the fight against crime. We need deeper partnership with communities built on trust, commitment, and delivery. It is on this score that the ministry will continue to lend support to you and your management team to aggressively restore the trust deficit that has broken down some in the community relationship, National Commissioner. After all, police officers cannot police communities they are not part of. But equally, we are aware that the trust is not bought, trust is earned. Commissioner, improved service from the police will earn back the trust and confidence of the community. In other words, creating safer communities through effective community policing is a matter of urgency. 50% of solutions to crime are through better working relations with the community. The SABC can no longer afford to pay lip service, but must introduce accountability at station if we are to truly serve and protect this nation. This is why immediate interventions have now been put in place to address the dip in performance. Allow me to expand on some immediate interventions agreed on between the Police Ministry and the sub-management. We have adopted a police station policing approach. This means accountability will start from bottom at the station level and escalate right up to the very top. Yes, Commissioner, the station accountability plan will fully work if all station commanders are empowered and supported through by management. The station accountability plan rests on station commanders. As commanders, you are expected to know your staff, know the welfare of your members, take charge of your police stations, keep track of your tools of the trade, and maintain an overall healthy working environment for members. Lead, be firm, be committed to serving your members as they will follow the suit as you serve. Build and restore relationship between organized community structures and the broader society you serve and your members. It is a fact that the South African Police Service has thousands of hardworking and dedicated officers who on a daily basis put their lives at risk in the execution of their duties. Unfortunately, there are police officers that are failing communities. The failure often starts at the police station. This is why the station accountability plan will ensure community service centers are not scenes of secondary victimization by our own. As a ministry, we are encouraged that the GBVF desks are now available at 1,154 police stations countrywide. These desks are staffed with members trained in GBF-related courses. Over 90,000 police officers have been trained in victim empowerment, domestic violence, and sexual offenses-related programs. This will ensure the victim-centered service is provided with officers at police station. We expect the immediate implementation of the station accountability plan, especially at the top 30 high crime stations. This sharp focus on station will mean all station commanders will be expected to closely monitor their unique crime situations. Every 2 weeks, commanders must evaluate and put in place relevant operational plans to curb crime. Station commanders must have a place monitoring mechanism to ring the alarm in time. Senior officers from National Office deployed to top 30 high crime stations as part of the police station guidance program will be enhanced. Clear targets of crime reduction and eradication within timeframes must be met. As crime usually increases over the weekend, commanders must change their approach and must work throughout weekends. Police personnel should be saturating the streets over weekends, as this is the high noon of crime. There will be expeditious processes if and when these set targets are not achieved. The station accountability means it will not be tolerated for police stations to keep occupying the same spot as high crime stations. There simply can't be a station that doesn't perform and it is business as usual. Just number one, Lusikisiki forever, Lusikisiki inanda umlazi. It can't be. If we are serious about rebuilding community relations, commission and management, we must clean house. Vetting and monitoring of members has to be speedily undertaken. Crime intelligence must be beefed up at station levels for effective crime fighting. The SABC cannot be a haven for criminals disguised as officers of law. Such behavior puts policing on the back foot and further erodes the trust between communities and the police. We call on the IP to work with us on this one and deal with police officers who fail the organization and ultimately fail the nation. To mitigate this and to fail the nation, we are also calling on the management of the SABC to take the welfare and safety of all members on board. Service delivery in the context of this organization can mean the difference between life and death. Interaction with communities on their safety concerns and policing needs through the Ministerial Zimbizo program continues to assist the SABC in improving its service to communities. This Zimbizo aims to put in place immediate and efficient improvement mechanism to deal with service delivery bottlenecks. Without fail, the complaint about the slow response of police comes up too often. This was the case when we engaged the communities of Jablane, Pimville, and Kliptown in Soweto. The same complaints arose in Lusikisiki, Eastern Cape, and Bochabelo in the Free State in the most recent weeks. It is the live experience of community members who are far too often told there are no police vans to come and attend to their policing. The police vans are usually out of action and waiting in long queues at the garages to be maintained or fixed. To mitigate this, the process of repairing SABC vehicles is being overhauled. Conclusion, indeed, these sweeping changes we have outlined will improve service delivery, improve response times, and go a long way towards building safer communities. These are a few efforts, if implemented well, as they will be implemented, should restore confidence in the police service. Among our communities, the interventions, including the station accountability plan, should yield results in the quickest possible time. All levels of policing, from constables, sergeants, warrant officers, captains, colonels, brigadiers, generals, you all have to change and together change our approach in confronting this dire crime situation. We must all say such high crime figures cannot happen under our watch. Take ownership and pride in our work. It is our collective responsibility to pull up our socks and work smarter and harder to protect South Africans and their property. All station commanders, the focus is now on you and your station, on you and your stations. Always remember, police need the community and the community needs the police. Poisa ipoisa umphakathi. Work closely with the Community Policing Forum and adopt strategy that promotes community-centered policing. Everyone has a job to do. Do it and do it well. With those words, let me invite the man that carries the real story, which is not a good story, to come and tell. General Skukuni.
Thank you, Minister, National Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioners, DNCs, Lieutenant Generals, members of the media, and colleagues. We'll be taking you through the Q4 crime statistics that had been reported to the police in the fourth quarter of the financial year 2022, covering the period from the 1st of January to the 31st of March. The presentation, as we know, we start with a table of contents, but we will just go into the details in terms of the table that gives an overview of the crime that have been reported to the police in the current quarter. Starting with murder, we had recorded an increase of 1,107 murders more. That is a percentage increase of 22.2. We had recorded an increase in terms of sexual offenses of 1,666, a percentage change of 13.7. We had an increase of attempted murders of 1,135, a percentage increase of 24.8. Assault GBH, an increase of 6,575, percentage increase of 18.1. Common assault increased by 6,857 or 17.6. Common robbery increased by 1,238, that is a 13.0% increase. And then robbery with aggravating circumstances increased by 2,015 counts, that is 6.5% increase. And overall, the total contact crimes increased by 20,593, resulting in a 15.0% change. The next crime categories, which are rapes, they give a breakdown of the total sexual offenses, which we had already talked to in terms of the second row of the big table. So in this table, we're just giving a breakdown in terms of what are the constituent crimes in terms of the sexual offenses. Starting with the rapes, we had recorded an increase of 1,300 counts more in terms of rape. That is a 13.7% increase. Sexual assault increased by 255. Attempted sexual offenses increased by 114. Contact sexual offenses decreased by 3. And overall, the total sexual offenses, as we have indicated in the second row, they have increased by 1,666. The next subcategory is a breakdown of the subcategory of robbery with aggravating circumstances, which is row number 7 in terms of the table at the top. In this instance, we're just giving plus minus 6 of the crimes that make up that particular broad category of robbery aggravating circumstances. This is not all the crimes that sits in there, because you also have other crimes like robbery with a weapon other than a firearm, robbery with a firearm, etc. So we're just highlighting the 6 as they have been indicated that they are a constant thorn on the side of the community. So we highlight them separately, but they are captured under the robbery with aggravating circumstances already. Carjacking increased by 889 counts, that is a 19.7% increase. Robbery at residential premises decreased by 21 counts, resulting in a 0.4% decrease. Robbery at non-residential premises decreased by 172, resulting in a 3.5% decrease. Robbery of cash in transit, we had 11 counts more, from 44 to 53, resulting in 26.2% increase. Then bank robberies, we had 4 counts more, whereas in the previous comparative period we had 1, and in the current period we had 5, resulting in 4 counts more. Truck hijacking increased by 111 counts more, resulting in 31.4% increase. In the next slide, we look at we bring into focus the total population of the country, and we compute the rates against the total number of crimes that had been reported. This is a standard practice in terms of especially contact crimes, where you have to take into consideration the total crime had been committed. In terms of the denominator that we had used, we used the 2021 mid-year population estimates. That is the most recent data that is available from Stats SA. We then revised these population estimates going back, covering the period from 2017 up to the current period. Now, with the murders, we had 10.0. That means that if the total population of South Africa were divided into equal portions of 100,000, the probability of a person being killed within that particular 100,000 is only 10 people within 100,000. Hence, the correct reading of the figure is 10 per 100,000. Then in terms of the rapes, the chances, it's 17.9 per 100,000. For attempted murder, it's 9.4 per 100,000. Assault GBH, 71.0 per 100,000 of the population. Common assault is 75.5 per 100,000, and common robbery is 17.8 per 100,000. Then completing the table, starting with crimes termed as contact-related crimes, made up of 2 crimes, that is arson and malicious damage to property. In terms of arson, we had 178 counts more compared to the previous period, whereby we moved from 732 to 910, resulting in a percentage change of 24.3. Malicious damage to property, we had an increase of 3,799 from 24,850 to 28,649, a percentage increase of 15.3. Then the total of contact-related crimes, we had an increase of 3,977, a percentage change of 15.5. Then the subcategory of property-related crimes, we're starting with a robbery at non-residential premises. We had a decrease of 974. That is, we moved from 15,215 to 14,241, resulting in a 6.4% decrease. Burglary at residential premises, the increase was 392. Theft of motor vehicle and motorcycle, the increase was 137. Theft out of or from motor vehicle, the increase was 346. Stock theft, we had 154. And total property-related crimes increased by 55. Then moving on to other serious crimes, we had recorded decreases in terms of shoplifting of 1,305. And then looking at the crime detected as a result of police action, whereby the desired direction of change is an increase. Hence, we had recorded increases in terms of illegal possession, drug-related crimes, driving under the influence, and the total crime detected as a result of police action increased by 10,117, which is the desired direction that we want to see. Then in terms of the the breakdowns in terms of the 17 community reported crimes. What one needs to bring into context here is that as we know that we've been in the different levels of lockdown, we also need to take into consideration that we are comparing two periods that were at different levels of lockdown, and we know that the higher level of lockdown, the higher the restrictions. So in the previous financial year, or in the previous comparative period, we were at adjusted level 3 in terms of the lockdown, and we are comparing it to adjusted level 1 in the current quarter, which started on the 1st of October 2021 up to the 4th of April. So what one notices is that the more the difference in terms of the lockdown levels, when you compare it to a lower lockdown levels, you find that the increase in crime is also pronounced. So if you look in January, we had 25,602 increase in terms of the 17 community reported crimes. Then in February, we had an increase of 5,392. And then in the month of March, as the lockdown levels converged towards adjusted level 1, we had an increase of 1,473. In terms of the provincial contribution to the 17 community reported crimes, Gauteng contributed 28% of the 17 community reported crimes, Western Cape contributed 19%, KZN contributed 16%, Eastern Cape contributed 11%, and collectively the 4 provinces that I've mentioned contributed 73% to the total of the 17 community reported crimes. Then in terms of the top 30 stations, in terms of the 17 community reported crimes, what we can indicate there is that 12 of the stations that are in the 17 community reported crimes are in the province of Gauteng, 7 in the Western Cape, 7 in KwaZulu-Natal, and the provinces of Free State, Northwest, Eastern Cape, and Mpumalanga contributed 1 station each in the top 30 17 community reported crimes. And these stations was Park Road in the Free State, Rustenburg in Northwest, East London in the Eastern Cape, and then Mpumalanga in Witbank. Then now moving on to the contact crimes. The contact crimes in the current quarter, we had recorded an increase of 20,593. Again, when you do the percentage contribution per province, the Gauteng province contributed 28%, Western Cape 17%, KZN contributed 16.9%, Eastern Cape 10.7%. And similarly to what we have observed in the 17 community reported crimes, these 4 provinces contributed 73% to the total of the contact crimes that have been reported in the current quarter. And all the provinces have recorded an increase in terms of the contact crimes. Then the top 30 stations, 14 of the stations are in the Gauteng province. Western Cape had 8, KZN had 7, and Limpopo had 1 station, which is Thohoyandou at number 30. The top 30 contact crime station contributed 14% to the national total, and only 5 stations recorded a decrease in terms of the contact crimes. Oopsie. Then looking at the causative factors from a sample of the cases that had been reported to the police, focusing mostly on the murders, we had a sample size of the murders of 5,226, where we tried to establish where are the contributory places of occurrence where these murders had occurred. The table there covers attempted murder and assault GBH, but for the sake of the presentation, I will only focus on the murder. The residence of the perpetrator was the second highest contributing place in terms of where the murders had occurred. The first was the public places, that is in a street, open field recreation center, contributed 2,268. The third highest contributor was in a mode of transport, either a bus or a taxi or a car, contributing 184. Number 4 highest contributor was at liquor outlets, that is either a shebeen, a tavern, a pub, nightclub, or a bottle store, which contributed 156 in terms of the places of occurrence. Then at number 5, we had agricultural land, plot, or small holdings with 78, and the business premises, which there's a possibility that they might have taken place together with a robbery at the non-residential premises, contributing 63 of the murders. Oops, I think I might have missed something here. When we're looking at I think this slide I had already talked to. Let me go on to the murder. In terms of the murders, we had recorded increases across all the 9 provinces, and the month of January was the most, where we had an increase of 872. In February, we had an increase of 104, and in the month of March, as the lockdown levels converged, we had an increase of 131. In terms of percentage contribution by the provinces, the province of KZN contributed 26% of the murders. Next was Gauteng with 23% to the murders. Eastern Cape 17%, Western Cape 17%, and these 4 provinces contributed 83% to the totals of the murders that had been committed. Then when we take into consideration the population size in the respective provinces and do the per capita murder, the province with the highest per capita murder is the province of the Eastern Cape with 15.7 murders per 100,000, Western Cape second with 14.1 per 100,000, KwaZulu-Natal with 13.6 per 100,000, and the province of Gauteng at number 4 with 8.8 per 100,000 of the murders. And the rest of the provinces you can see from that particular table. Then in terms of the top 30 stations, we can mention that the top 3 stations in terms of murder are stations that are in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, led by Umlazi, Inanda, and Plessis Layer. Then from the next 5 are all from the province of the Western Cape, led by Harare at number 5, Harare at number 4, Kraaifontein number 5, Delft number 6, Mfuleni at number 7, Khayelitsha at number 8, and then we had a station from Gauteng at number 9, which is Kagiso, and then at number 10 we had a station in the Eastern Cape, which is Mthatha, making up the top 10 murder stations. Then when we look at the provincial breakdown in terms of the causative factors that had been identified, we observe that we have already indicated that 875 murders had been indicated to have resulted from arguments. The Western Cape had the highest number, attributing the murders to arguments with 205. Then number 2 was KZN with 199. Gauteng province was number 3 with 132. Then in terms of the robberies leading to murders, we had 262 of the robberies resulting in murder, led by KZN with 85. And then number 2 was Gauteng with 57. Number 3 was the Western Cape, where the robberies also resulted in a murder with 40. And number 4, we had Eastern Cape with 27. Taxi-related murders, we had both Gauteng and the Western Cape indicating that 9 murders in each of these provinces were attributable to taxi-related, and KZN indicating that 8 of the murders were attributable to taxi-related violence. Then when in the next slide we look at the instances whereby it has been confirmed that alcohol or drugs were used prior, during the commission of selected crime types. The top table indicates instances whereby it was confirmed that the alcohol or drugs had been consumed either by the perpetrator or the victim or witnesses or both parties that are involved in the commission of the crime. 156 matters had been indicated that the alcohol was used, and 13 of these matters it was indicated that drugs were used. Attempted murder, 157 where alcohol was used, and 18 attempted murders where drugs were used. Rapes, 1,290 rapes had been confirmed that alcohol was used, and then 143 of the rapes indicated that drugs were used. Assault GBH, 3,810 assault GBH was indicated that the perpetrator or the victim has used alcohol prior to the commission of the crime, and 140 of the assault GBH, the perpetrator had used drugs. Confirmed places, in the first instance, we look at the use of drugs and alcohol. In the lower section, we are looking at places where it has been confirmed that this place is selling alcohol and these crime types happened in that facility. We had 156 murders having been confirmed to have taken place either at the tavern, Shebeen pub, or a nightclub. 198 attempted murders took place at such facilities, 59 rapes took place at such facilities, and 1,944 assault GBH took place either at the tavern, a Shebeen, a pub, or a nightclub. Then moving on to the murders, covering now the murders of police officials. We have had 27 murders of police officials having been recorded in the current quarter, of which 7 of these murders happened while the members of the police service were on duty, and 20 having happened while they are off duty. An overall increase of 3 counts more in terms of police officers that were murdered. From 2020-2021, we had 24 murders. Currently, it has increased to 27, an increase of 3 murders more of police officials. Then looking at the crimes that are taking place within the farming community, we had 12 murders having happened in the current quarter when we compared to the previous quarter, which resulted in an increase of 1 count more in terms of a murder at the farming institution. In the previous quarter, we had 11. Current quarter, we had 12. The increase there is 1. Then moving on to the rapes. Again, the trend, as we have seen with all the other crime that we have seen, is that when you have higher levels of lockdown compared to lower levels, there tend to be an increase in terms of the crime that had been committed at the higher level lockdown when you compare it to a lower level lockdown, due to, among others, the restrictions that are applicable at the higher level lockdown as compared to a lower level lockdown, including, among others, the limited hours in terms of which alcohol can be sold, and also the restriction in terms of the movement of the people. Because you must remember that in terms of relative activities theory, for a crime to happen, you need 3 sides of the triangle to converge: a motivated offender, a place with lack of guardianship, and a potential victim who's not aware of his surroundings. So the lockdown levels remove one of the sides of the triangle, so the triangle cannot come together for the crime to happen. So the lockdown levels do contribute in terms of the figures that we are observing. With that analogy, we can see that in January, we had an increase in terms of the rapes of 1,309. In February, the increase was 232. And in March, when the levels of lockdown converged, we had an increase, the decrease of 331. In terms of the percentage contributions per province, the Gauteng province contributed 21% to the murders, KZN 19% to the rapes, Eastern Cape 17% to the rapes, Western Cape 12%, and overall, these 4 provinces contributed 70% to the total rapes that have been reported in the country. Then, taking into consideration the population within the respective provinces, the Eastern Cape had the highest per capita rape in terms, recording 27.6 per 100,000, Free State 24.2 per 100,000, Northern Cape 20.4 per 100,000, and Northwest 18.5 per 100,000. The rest of the provinces can be observed from there, and Gauteng had the lowest in terms of per capita with 14.2 per 100,000. Then the top 30 stations, as the Minister has indicated, they are led by Lusikisiki in the Eastern Cape, Inanda at number 2 in KwaZulu-Natal, Delft at number 3, Thohoyandou in Limpopo at number 4, and Plessis Liar in KwaZulu-Natal, making up the top 30 in the top 30 stations for rape. Then the places of occurrence for rape, most of the rapes from the sample that we had drawn of 7,031, which contributed 65% of the total rapes that had been reported to the police, it was observed that most of these rapes, that is 4,653, had occurred at the residence of the perpetrator or a victim, including residence known by the victim, perpetrator, or family member. The second highest place where the rapes occurred was in the public places, street, open field, recreational facilities, and abandoned buildings, contributing 1,101 at number 2. Then we also had rapes that had taken place at educational institutions. That is, 88 of these rapes had been indicated to have occurred at educational institutions, whereby without we indicated that of these 88, 10 took place at the daycare facility, 75 happened at schools, and 3 of these rapes happened at tertiary institutions. Then looking at the selected contact crimes against women and children, we had indicated that the women, which covers female from 18 years and above, the murder increased by 134, attempted murder by 297, increased assault GBH 2,414, and in terms of children, that is the ages from 0 up to and including 7 years, covering both boys and girls. We had an increase of 83 in terms of the murders. The attempted murders, the reduction was 24, resulting in 6.8, and then assault GBH, an increase of 218, resulting in a 12.7% increase. Then looking at the domestic violence, focusing mostly on those contact crimes, these are instances whereby it had been indicated that there's a relationship or a domestic relationship between the victim and the perpetrator that can either be a husband, wife.
All right, we're going to come out of that statistics release, crime statistics release, showing that contact crimes rose by 15% in the quarter ended March compared to last year. We'll have more